Hey, Christian.
Hey Dom, how are you?
I'm good. I think I tried to figure out how to share my screen, but I'm good.
Cool. Yes, I can let you know that you're sharing. So we've got people joining it, and I see your screen here. So for those who are joining us in the audience, I've got Dom here, who's founder of the Creative AI Academy and assistant professor of AI design at Pratt, who's going to talk about leading and designing in the age of AI. It's got it there. It's a beautiful image. And with that, Dom, I will leave it to you.
Thank you, Christian. I'm super excited to be here today to talk to all of you. We had so many great keynotes already. I think it's an amazing event you guys pulled together, Christian, with the Autonomous Innovation Summit. I think one that's was in the back of my head in the morning was from Sandra Heinzen from Salesforce. She had this great provocation. Does AI make executives more or less emotional intelligent? It's a great question, I think. Having navigated the realms of innovation and design for the biggest Fortune 100 companies, I've seen firsthand as a leader how difficult it can be to navigate technological advancements like we see at the moment. So today, I really hope I can offer a new perspective on certain things. I'm not sure I can answer the emotional intelligence question, but also have hopefully some practical approaches for you as leaders to join me in this session. And we're witnessing at the moment almost everyday updates, right? Last night or yesterday morning, there's this new update from Google DeepMind with Gemini, right? The so-called GPT-4 killer. I love these superlatives. I don't know who comes up with them. Must be advertising people. But especially impressive was the interacting multimodal prompting as shown in this video at the moment, which went viral. And I think what's interesting about this is it looks impressive, and it is like everything. Let's just take a first deep breath and get an understanding what it really does. So we actually went, my partner Tony Jones in the Creative AI Academy and me as a part of our job at Pratt as well, to actually went deeper, and we went to the blog and looked at it, and the storytelling of the video is brilliant, right? And however, in a deeper look, it reveals it's still a large language model. Sorry to spoil this to you. It has great capabilities, and maybe some of the things will be available very soon and capable very soon, but they are not capable in the way they are displayed. But it manifests something really important, the shift in the interaction between us humans and the machines. So driven mainly by a very human element, language, the human to human user interface, the way you understand me, the way I speak to you, is now our way how we communicate with machines. And no doubt, this is the way we interact with the digital infrastructure, and it will shift how we will interact with it in the future, and hopefully in a more human and more natural way. So this dance between human intuition and AI's logic, that truly fascinates me, and I guess all of you, and because that's why you're here. So here's the thing. If you're hoping that I will talk about how much faster you need to be, how autonomous and lean your design process and your organization should become in the age of AI, I might disappoint you a little bit. Today, I will tell you about this approach of focusing on being balanced, powered, seamless, and trusted. Because we need to explore these new interactions between humans and machines, how to design organizations, and how to design and lead in an AI, because it means to become the best in the human AI relationship. So we will have three areas which we will explore: how to design in the age of AI, how to lead in the age of AI, and how to gain a competitive advantage, becoming the best in AI. And you have already a little hint probably seen on my LinkedIn profile this morning. The best has a little bit more meaning to it. Everybody who already grasped it should put it in the chat, by the way. I'm curious. I revealed it technically already. The technology brings wonder, right? And excitement. And we see this by how many people signed up to this event from Autonomous Innovation. in nearly all cases, that excitement comes what the tech does for us. That is our relationship to it, right? And when it comes to AI, our relationship is augmented. The way we design this human AI centered world is where humans augment AI and AI augments actually humans as well. And we know there's the good and the ugly to this, but there's also this fact of that humans are still humans and we have emotions and we are still personal and our decisions are often a reaction to an action, right? Good, crazy, funny, like we see here, stopping a self-driving car from Google in San Francisco by just putting a cone on it. This can be obviously lead to unwanted reactions, right? And the interaction with machines. We can work against it, right? And provoke it. I think that's a good way to actually test out the boundaries. But then we can design ways to work with it. For example, this person here in this tweet, is it called X now? I'm not kind of sure, this X Twitter thing, pretended to tip ChatGPT. And guess what? ChatGPT actually started to work harder. So like all of us, the machines need the same encouragement as we do to do a good job. And I think we need to embrace this a little bit more. So if we are aiming to design the best relationship between humans and machines, we have the undeniable and joint obligation as team, as people, as humans, to become better in being human at the first place. So for decades as designers and innovators, our approach was very simple, right? We did the classic design piece for products, focusing on aesthetics, on functional aspects, to deliver a visual, appealing, effective solution for humans. And then design thinking, the big thing that IDEO launched, was empathizing with users and iterating through ideation and prototyping to uncover innovative and need-centric solutions. And the next slide will, by the way, not be the Fast Company headline. I think you have all read that. But what it actually means, if you take a cap, a universal kind of element to make it yellow in some countries, it's easy to spot. You can actually see it from the distance and then hail it and stop it. And then when design thinking came into place, we saw this amazing work from companies like Uber or Revel or Lyft. They addressed the inconvenience of hailing a cab by making it digital. But our world is just more complex than that. It got more complex than that. It gets probably more complex than that. We just learned when we consider a relationship between human and a machine, we also need to see that complexity and design for that complexity. So we have these systems that help us actually by understanding and improving cities, making them more friendly, more safe, right? Designing bike lanes and pickup points. So systems are the new ecosystem in this interconnected world and hyper-personalized world in which we are moving towards. And understanding behaviors and designing for behavioral change, as Christian Sacklers actually earlier said from PepsiCo, it will be inevitable to discover the behaviors in the interaction between humans and machines. In simple terms, the common approach we designers use for decades to understand unmet human needs now the technical part of it, right? It requires us to also understand machines' characteristic in their interactions. A great way to understand human behaviors is a tool like DISC, right? Which is a personal assessment tool that allows us basically, or allows millions of us to improve our work, to improve the communication, improve teamwork, productivity, and interactions in a very meaningful and deep way. So now a little bit deeper into what it means to apply DISC, the personality model, to the behaviors and the types. There's 4 types. There's the dominance for D, there's the I for influence, there's the S for steadiness, and there's the C for conscientious, to both humans and machines. And we can provide a more straightforward analogy. I have to smile because I think conscientious, I trained that with Tony 100 times in the rehearsal, and I still got it wrong. So you see, very human, that the machine can't help, and even my partner Tony can't. But in simple terms, D as an example, right? Let's say you're a driver. A human leader making quick, confident decisions aligns with probably a machine that is designed for fast and efficient problem solving, or an S, a steady, reliable individual, resonates probably more with a machine known for its consistent performance and reliability and designed that way. So keeping in mind that these machines have certain characteristics that can be mapped against us humans is actually really helpful in the design process. Because it's not about human business and technology anymore. It's about behaviors, technology, and context, as TLGG, one of the consultancies who invented that human AI-centered approach, is using, right? The human AI-centered approach lets us actually discover these human needs and understanding the intersection between technology and the contextual, the environmental, the space, the societies, the cultures. All is intercent and interconnected. And that's where AI design is driving this approach, right? And computational. It's allowing innovators to unleash the next generation of innovations by leveraging data, by leveraging AI for faster adoption, diversification, and scale. So the interesting part is when we look at product, business, and systems, this computational shift will affect how we design, how we do business, and how we interact with our systems, right? Leveraging the power of data and algorithms to explore a fast solution space and designing for billions of people in real time and on demand. And we believe it's time to bring all these together. You could call this approach AI design. We teach it actually as a certificate course at Pratt University. We're about to launch a white paper about it. Katrin Zimmermann and I working on this together. This will be changing the operating system for organizations from built for growth to operate at the best intersection between humans, technology, and context. Now, the question, undeniable, comes, how do you as a leader apply AI design as your new operating system? Well, first of all, this is a buzzing industry. We all wake up on LinkedIn news and experts who tell us what to do and what not to do. We hear a lot about this buzzing words of the topics like efficiency, automation. It's probably buzzing around the wrong topics. I tell you why. These headlines are pointed to create awareness. They're not pointed to give you guidance. AI is impacting your organization, and as a leader, and even as experts, it's sometimes really important to pause, as I said earlier, and think as humans without an AI. So many executives think the best approach to organizational growth is still to focus on efficiency and speed. And now they think when they implement AI, it will help them to gain the competitive advantage just even faster, right? And they can cut the headcount and make things more lean. It's a big mistake because it leads to this funny, I think in DALL-E generated image, to this extreme massive misconception and irritation among workers and managers. They think, oh, I just need to hand it over to AI and enough, the job is done. But the truth is, it will make mistakes on your behalf. And you may know the case of a lawyer who used ChatGPT to present an argument to a judge using a case that never existed, right? He got disbarred. So the problem is, if you now think you can put regulations in place and they will stop them to do the work with it, I tell you, they don't, right? They're just not telling you about it. And this is, by the way, statistic from a Salesforce study around this. Actually, 64% of people have passed off AI work in secret as their own. And that's dangerous. And dangerous because we are leaders are responsible for this. So for us leaders, it means if you think you have to have two people and you can reduce one by an AI, well, seriously, that will not be the right approach. There's actually, in fact, a McKinsey study who proves for, I think it was 1,700 participants, high-performing organizations, meaning companies where the use of AI attributes, where at least 20% of their EBIT, have shifted their focus to create new revenue streams, new business models, focusing more on that part of how can we accelerate into the future. Think about the horizons we heard earlier. I think 1, 2, 3 horizon is not the right approach anymore. I think we need to think more out of the box in the future. Versus the companies who are probably a majority in the market, who still see the biggest AI advantage at reducing cost and being more efficient, as you can see here in this chart. So look this up. This is a great study, and I think it has great insights around this. It means for you, you need to look at how do you add AI as a partner in the human relationship. So creating this human AI relationship. This is a mouthful, actually. Just realized that. Try to write it 5 times in the chat, please. Repeat it. So that allows us to orchestrate the partnership and organizational structure that we need, right? Foster governance, empower your teams to work with AI, allowing the rise of a new culture of transparency, inclusivity, responsibility, and most importantly, new thinking. And that will lead to the next gen innovations you want to have and the new revenue streams you're looking for so desperately. One of my favorite best-selling authors and executive coaches is Gay Hendricks. And he said, commitment is the fundamental key to all success. This is a big shift, and it requires to be committed to all these changes. And as we navigate this world of AI-enhanced organizations, our commitment to adapt, grow, and innovate becomes more crucial. So the question is really, how do we become the best in AI? How do we create a framework that allows you to do that? We've created that, and I'm really proud that you're one of the first people showing it. We used it in some of our workshops already. BEST is, as you probably already noticed, an acronym for being successful in changing your organization to an AI-enhanced innovation leader. So the B stands for balanced. It requires leaders to think strategically about their own workflow, the workload of their teams, and how to balance it, right? And find the right balance between automation and augmentation. It's not either or, it's always together. Empowering your teams means for us leaders to be first movers, actively challenging the way things have always been done, being a role model, being the first in doing things, setting standards, leading the way and supporting their teams to know how to use AI in the right way, because that will create space for critical thinking, which I think is the beauty of this AI time. And the pursuit of a seamless experience between us humans and the machines, complementing human ingenuity with artificial knowledge to augment our ways of work, and as much as the way of collaborating. And lastly, being transparent about AI and clear about the guidelines, using it responsibly and creating a culture of trust and inclusivity, like the trust that the work is done with the right augmentation of AI and is validated by a human with their thinking. So what does this mean from an actional standpoint for you if you apply BEST? Well, it means identifying use cases and defining what can be automated and what should be augmented, ensures that AI enhances rather than overwhelms humans. I think you probably saw all the chart that Board of Innovation is using, where they basically show the innovation sprint process and show what is your use case and what is potentially the tools you can use to overcome certain barriers. I think that's a great approach to do this. Provide teams with AI tools and training to empower employees, fostering their growth and allowing them to achieve the best outcomes. something we do with the Creative AI actually, or with Prot, where people can sign up for a certificate course. Building this harmonious solution and workflow between humans and AI, and promote a culture where the collaboration is celebrated and not hidden. And I think the last and most important piece of all of this in our world where we live today is about being open about the use of AI, addressing the risks, talking about them, implementing them, implementing ethical considerations, and keep the team informed and aligned about the values, the human values, the company values, the AI values. We learned about this as well. So all these steps will make you the best leaders and allow your organization to gain competitive advantage in the age of AI. Applied to the computational shift in design introduced earlier, this approach will allow you to become the best in AI design. I'm Dominik Heinrich, and I'm looking forward to create the best future with you together. Feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me, talk to me, and I think we have enough time to answer some of the questions. Thank you very much.
Dom, that was great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very architected presentation. I can tell you've got some design background. Speaking of, one of our most liked questions is, do you have a favorite workflow for creative generative AI for images, video, content? We're curious to hear.
That's a good question. Yeah, I think I have a little bit of a strategy. We have actually a prompt design canvas which we created, which allows you to set the right context and then have the goal, so understanding what the output looks like. I think what's super interesting when it comes to creative work is it really takes time to go deeper, go beyond, right? Have this last push in where do we go? Think out of the box. I've always this example where I was tasked to figure out how to refill soap, right? Because it's such a messy process, and it took me days with ChatGPT. All these things that came out were interesting, but not new enough. Mm-hmm. And the part where I feel like which shows so much how it's about us humans, right? Is I thought, how would this work in space? How would an astronaut actually do this? Because that would not work. And the answer is, by the way, vacuum. And so this is interesting because suddenly this AI partner is a scientist for you, right? A rocket scientist if you want to, an astronaut if you want to. And I think that's interesting, right? And that makes our creative work so much more informed, better, validated. I think we don't have the time to waste money on innovation anymore. All the organizations, when you talk to leaders, there's no appetite on pouring money in something that might never see the day of light or being based on human assumptions. So I think that it will help us in that regards, and that's where AI becomes a really nice part of the workflow. So I gave a little bit of a bigger answer to the actually simple question. I just realized.
No. Yeah, always good to hear. Yeah, extreme users is a good one to crack it open a little bit. That's something that Phil is actually sneaky good at.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah. You saw. Okay, so I got another one here from you from the Q&A section, Dom. How do you envision the role of decision-making and creativity in the future? And how can leaders prepare for that? Right? Something it seems like you've thought about.
Yeah, I think one of the things what we experience a lot, and I think where BEST helps a little bit as well, is the part of how do I make a decision? Do I make a decision based on my gut feeling and my assumption, or do I make a decision based on analytical reasoning and validated data, right? And I think we are still in this space where we think we know better. And that might be sometimes actually true, right? Because some things the machines, we talk a lot about machine bias, I think, in certain ways, but there's also this bias of that we and the machine think we know how people are, and we don't, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a little bit of a being careful with that. But I think removing decision bias is actually something where a machine can actually help and put some reasoning behind things. If you feed it the right way. So that's a bit of the critical path. I think no one can just use AI and think that makes me super fast, much better. It's not that easy. I think it requires a little bit of a mindset shift, but at the same time, it's all about of this romantic view of it makes us better communicators, right? So my hope that since we need to learn how to communicate to a machine to get the output we want, we probably talk better to us humans. So maybe we create a place where we are just all nicer to each other and understand each other better. Who knows? Maybe I'm a little bit too romantic for that.
Hey, never too romantic. Yeah. So, you mentioned this prompt design canvas, which obviously sparks my interest.
Sure.
Do you have any learnings from that? We've got a question here. What's a prompt you guys use, or a framework? How do you think about it?
I think it's the framework, right? It's there's not one prompt. I think it's also funny. I get targeted with prompt library books on Instagram, which annoys the hell out of me. I need to be careful that I'm stay PC here, but it's not how this world works. I'm sorry for that. But I think the framework we created is basically asking you, hey, what's the context? What's the problem you're trying to solve? What's the blind spot, right? Because we forget the blind spot. The blind spot is the machine doesn't know what you think, and it doesn't know all the context you have as a human. So how do you feed it with that? And then be clear what you're trying to accomplish, right? And if you understand a large language model, then you know that it's just a predictive engine that is based on what you input. Based on that, it makes basically sense out of it and thinks that's the right answer. So the better your input and the more you articulate yourself, the better the output will be because it understands the connection better and can predict the answer better.
Yeah, well said. Love that blind spot piece. I know. Yeah.
Secret sauce. It's proprietary, by the way.
Right. That's my job. I'm just supposed to get the secret sauce. No, so I think, about 2.5 minutes left. I like this one, sort of society level question. How do we prevent AI tools from turning into an echo chamber, similar to social media algorithms, and skewing our ability to use the tool?
That's a great question. Whoever asked that is probably the big question for the next couple of years. It's funny because I told one of our students on Monday at Pratt that I think her career choice is the wrong choice. She wants to become a social media designer. Was maybe a little bit too German and direct for my sense, but the answer is these algorithms are dangerous beasts, right? Because it means we creating the same, or we creating a lot of the same, and that is, I think I don't have a distinct answer to this. I think the critical thinking part is just super important of this. But yeah, it's a dangerous piece of the puzzle, right? It's like if we see the same, if everything is algorithm, don't forget these machines have no intelligence, but they have the power to shape our behaviors and our meaning. And that's way dangerous than they start to really think it themselves, right? Where everybody is super afraid of. I think it might actually help us when they do that. So to answer that question, I would say it's really sometimes helpful to step out of the AI box and go into space and think in a different way about things, because that will probably lead from this massive average work, which we will see, to the real awesome work, which makes then a change. And I still believe that making awesome work will actually, and solving real problems for people, will actually lead to people being more drawn that direction.
Love that.
It's a tricky answer. We could go on for another half an hour on this one.
I tossed you a big one. No, but I love that answer. Always love an optimist, and which I am as well. So yeah, really cool. Thanks so much for your actionable frameworks. I know I got my screenshot. I'm sure some others did. A best. That's beautiful. And thanks again. We will, for those of you who are in the audience, we're going to get pushed to the next session here in a second. Thanks so much, Dom.
Hey, Christian, thanks so much. And everybody else out there, stay the best.
Bye. Stay the best.